All right, geometry, lesson 1-5, rotating points. Today's date is Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020. Yeah, our objective, who wants to read that one? Hesha, go for it.
Rotate points and shapes by increments of 90 degrees around the origin.
Yep, perfect. And then I think this was Kira that identified this yesterday, kind of that property with the I wonder. It's the same thing, but now a little bit more formal, and we have to worry about if things are positive and negative. So let's talk about what are the properties of rotating by increments of 90 degrees. So assuming that we start with B, let's go ahead and write down the coordinates of B. What are the coordinates of B here? How do I write these down, Charles?
It would be 2, 1.
2, 1, perfect. And then that means I go 2 right up 1, and then over here I go left 1 up 2. So that's going to be, I'll do it for us. It's going to be -1, 2. And we're just going to label all these points. So over here I get -2, -1, -2, -1, and 1, and -2, 1, -2. Okay, so a lot of us saw this yesterday where if I rotate by 90 degrees, and I do have that little symbol in here saying, yes, it is indeed 90 degrees. Oh, my stylus just stopped working. There it goes. I switched these values. 2 and 1 turns into 1 and 2, then it goes back to 2 and 1, then back to 1 and 2. You keep switching your X and Y, switch, switch, switch. But then weird things happen with the positives and negatives. And for those, we have to keep track of what coordinate we're in. So let's come down here. Every time a point rotates by 90 degrees, you're going to switch the what and what coordinates. Yeah, Ulysses.
X and Y coordinates?
Yeah, switch the X and Y coordinates. And then make sure the, what word am I looking for here? Make sure the what for each coordinate is correct, because you have to worry about the negatives and positive. How do I say that? Yeah, Hazi?
The sign.
Make sure the sign for each coordinate is correct. And then you do that by verifying if it's in the top right quadrant, the top left quadrant, and stuff like that. So let's just go ahead and do the analysis up here. We can make I don't know if you have room here, but a graph to the right. If you don't have room for another graph, you can go ahead and just put it on top of this same graph. If I'm in quadrant 1, 2, 3, or 4, it will depend on, it does go counterclockwise from the top right. If I'm in quadrant 1, my X is positive, negative. My Y is positive, negative. I'm just going to go do some empty parentheses here and do a positive or negative or something what goes in here. Yeah, Charles.
Positive, positive.
Positive, positive. Perfect. What about quadrant 2? Over here, I'm going to have what in quadrant 2? And everyone else can go ahead if you know what you're doing, but I want to get some more people in here. I'll go with you, Lucy's again.
It's negative, positive.
Yep, negative, positive, because negative in the X coordinate, my tablet's not working. I'm going to try drawing with my trackpad. Negative, positive. What about for quadrant 3? Someone new. Yes, Ugo.
Negative, negative.
Negative, negative, there it is. Negative, negative. And finally for quadrant 4, I have, yeah, Esha? Oh, you have to do that first.
Positive, negative.
It's positive, negative. So positive, negative, positive, and negative. For some reason, my tab is not, or my, yeah, everything over here is just not working. Unplugging, replugging in. All right, and then moving on, let's go ahead and do 2 examples, and then we'll be done. So hopefully everyone got that down. Looks like no one's screaming at me, and you guys can always figure that out yourself too. All right, we have example 1. Triangle ABC is rotated -90. All right, so is -90 clockwise, thumbs up, or is -90 counterclockwise, thumbs down? Which direction is -90? Everyone's doing this in your cameras. thumbs up if it's clockwise, thumbs down if it's counterclockwise. Clockwise or counterclockwise for negative 90. Okay, so it is indeed clockwise because you always assume mathematicians are backwards, so they always assume counterclockwise by default. But if I'm going negative, then I'm actually going clockwise. So it's like a double negative, meaning we're going clockwise like a clock. So going clockwise, and it's working in, yeah. Okay, so going clockwise, I'm going to rotate around the origin, and you always assume that, right? It says around the origin in this case. So I can draw a point at the origin, and then I guess you don't really need the point, but you can verify that the distances are all preserved and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and label the coordinates here. A is at what, B is at what, C is at what. Can someone do all the coordinates for us real quick? Yeah, Wyatt?
A is at 3, 1. B is at 2, -4. C is at 6, -5.
Thank you. Okay, so now I need one volunteer to rotate either A, B, or C. You're just gonna do 1 point. Again, you're thinking of, you're gonna switch the X and the Y, and then if it's in quadrant 1, then it's gonna be down there in quadrant 4. If it's in quadrant 4, it's gonna come over there to quadrant 3. You're just rotating one quadrant. If I'm in this quadrant, then I'm gonna end up in this quadrant. If I'm in this quadrant, then I'm gonna end up in this quadrant. You always rotate by one entire quadrant, unless I guess you're on the axes, but if that's even easier. Who wants to do the first one? Charles?
So the next coordinates, I believe, should be 3, -1.
Oh, you're doing A?
Yeah, for A.
So 3, -1 right here.
Yes.
Be careful there because you forgot to switch your X and your Y.
Oh, okay. So it would be 1, -3.
1, -3 is indeed correct. So this is our new A prime. Again, making sure everyone can follow Charles's work. We had 3, 1. We switched to 1, 3, but it's not 1, 3 because 1, 3 would have been right here. It's in the wrong quadrant. In order to be the right quadrant, we had to make the Y coordinate a negative. Okay, we have A prime, which is 1, -3. I should do these in a different color, shouldn't I? Hold on, let me come back here. I'm gonna do it in green. So this is gonna be in A prime. I see your hand raised, hold on. A prime is gonna be 1, -3. Yeah, Esha.
How do you know which quadrant it should be in?
So I guess the question I have for you is, do you understand, that's a bad question. How well on a fist of 5 do you understand how you rotate either clockwise or counterclockwise? Like, do you understand that -90 degrees means go clockwise by 90 degrees?
Yeah.
Okay. So that means if I started in quadrant 1, my stylus is not working again. Okay, if I started here in quadrant 1 and I rotate clockwise, I should end up in quadrant 2.
Okay. So you want to end up in quadrant 4.
Yeah, sorry, I said quadrant 2. Yeah, you're right, quadrant 4.
Right, but so right now you're in quadrant 4, correct?
For B and C, A prime, B, and C are all in quadrant 4, yes.
Okay. And so what quadrant are you trying to get to quadrant 4 and 3?
Well, we're just going clockwise. So clockwise by one quadrant. 90 degrees means go to the next quadrant. If it was 180 degrees, that would be 2 quadrants. If it was 270 degrees, it would be 3 quadrants.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. And I'm going to unplug this tablet and plug it back in again. I have no idea what's going on with my technology. Who wants to do either B or C? We're going to rotate that by -90 degrees. We'll give it a Wyatt.
Can I do B?
Yeah, go for it.
So if you rotate it -90 degrees, that's clockwise, and the B coordinate is in quadrant 2, so it'd end up in quadrant 3, and you have to switch the order, so it'd be -4, -2.
So -4, -2, yeah, -4, -2. And I think you said the quadrants backwards, and I might have messed you up. Yeah, this is in quadrant 4, and it goes into quadrant 3. So our B prime B prime here is -4, comma, -2. Perfect, yep. So our X and Y were switched. We had 2, 4, and now it's 4, 2. We got the negatives correct because if I'm in quadrant 3, I should have negative, negative. All right, and finally, I need a C prime. Who wants to find C prime for me? I haven't heard from Jade. Yeah, Jade.
All right, so C prime originally is on 6, comma, -5. So you'd switch the order and it'd be going into the third quadrant
Okay,
with the coordinates being -5, -6.
-5, -6 right here. So C prime is -5, -6. And we have our 3 points, so let's go ahead and connect those with a line. So green line, go shoink, shoink, and I want to grab that. I just want to draw a new line. I'm going to draw underneath and move it. There it is. And you should be able to check your work here too, right? So if I were to make a new line between any two of these points, I'm just going to randomly do it for A. So A prime and A, that makes a 90-degree angle. And these lengths from the origin to A prime and the length from the origin to A is the same length. They're congruent line segments. And I could do that for all of them, but I don't need to. If I check one of them and it looks about right, I didn't squish the shape in any way, it's a rigid transformation, then we're good. All right. 5 on example 1. How well do you know how to do example 1? If you saw that same type of problem again. Oh my God, everyone's giving me a 4 or 5. I'd say our average is like 4.75. Very nice. Okay, so we just have one more. And it's a quadrilateral, which is not that much different except for you have to do this 4 times instead of 3 times. And this one is a little bit different because it's -180 degrees, which means I'm going 2 rotations. And you have to think clockwise or counterclockwise again. I'll let you go and copy this down and then we'll start recording.